Cold case, 1979. Newcastle's missing teenage girls. Another sexual predator, and he's linked to 3 of the girls. This is the 4th video in my series inspired by last month's reports that police have a new suspect in the disappearances of 2 teenage girls from the Newcastle area in 1979. In this video, I will discuss another sexual predator who was also in the Newcastle area at the time, and a 1998 theory that could link him to 3 other disappearances in late 1978. Strikeforce Fenwick was set up on the 23rd of March 1998 to investigate disappearances of 10 young people in the Newcastle and Hunter region from 1979 to 1993. An article in the Newcastle Herald on the 4th of April 1998 stated, "The former Ambassador nightclub in Hunter Street and its possible connection with the disappearances of 4 Newcastle women had become a main focus of the missing persons investigation," police confirmed yesterday. The women, Annie Tomanak, 17, Joy Hodgins, 18, Leanne Goodall, 20, and Debbie Ray Pritchard, 24, all had a common link to the well-known nightclub. Ms. Goodall was a casual waitress at the club. Annie Tomanak and Ms. Hodgins were there together on the night they disappeared, and Ms. Pritchard was a regular visitor. It is possible that the women who disappeared almost 20 years ago were the victims of the same person who frequented the nightclub. I have not previously mentioned Debbie Ray Pritchard. She disappeared and was murdered after leaving the Palais nightclub on the 7th of March 1982. Her remains were found by road workers at Cox's Lane in Fullerton Cove 10 years later. The Newcastle Herald had a number of articles on this disappearance at the time, and it seems the police did take it more seriously than the other disappearances, especially when, a few days later, her denim skirt and a man's pants and shoes, fitting the description of clothes worn by a man she was seen with, were found under Stockton Bridge. This is only a short drive from where her body was discovered 10 years later. An article in the Newcastle Herald on March 20, 1982 summarises the circumstances of her disappearance as follows. Debbie was last seen leaving the Palais Royal nightclub about 1 a.m. on Sunday after trying to find her boyfriend. She walked across Hunter Street and stood as if waiting for a taxi. A witness said she was joined by a man. She was seen with a man at Kooragang Island 3.5 hours later, but has not been seen since. An inquest in 2003 clearly indicated she was murdered by Maurice Joseph Marsland, a notorious sexual predator in Sydney's eastern suburbs, and was himself murdered in Goulburn Jail in 1996. It appears the original police investigation may have been another stuff-up. In 1982, the police considered the main suspect was a taxi driver. The taxi driver claimed he had picked up Debbie Ray Pritchard and Marsland from Hunter Street and dropped them off near her boyfriend's home at Whitebridge. Marsland had escaped from Cessnock Correctional Centre the day before, where he was serving a 3-year sentence for burglary. He knew Debbie Ray Pritchard as he had worked as a bouncer at venues she visited. At the time, police questioned Marsland and accepted his alibi without confirming it, and the coroner stated, "Were Mr. Marsland alive, it would be appropriate to terminate my inquest on the basis that he murdered Debbie Ray Pritchard. In other words, there was overwhelming evidence that he murdered her. So, depending on how confident Strike Force Fenwick were in 1998 that the same person murdered Debbie Ray Pritchard, Joy Hodgins, Annie Tominac and Leanne Goodall, it seems possible that Maurice Joseph Marsland was the murderer of all 4 young women. In doing my research in the Newcastle Herald, I accidentally came across a court case in 1981 that makes me even more incredulous that police did not check Marsland's alibi after Debbie Ray Pritchard's disappearance a year later. In this court case, Maurice Marsland and another man were accused of raping a woman at Redhead on the 13th of December 1980. Marsland was 20 at the time. When police turned up at his flat the next day in Beaumont Street, Hamilton, to arrest him, he jumped out the window and ran away. But the police chased and caught him soon after. Marsland and his co-accused both denied that Marsland had said to the woman that if she did not do it with us, they would kill her. They admitted to both having sexual intercourse with her, but claimed it was consensual. They were both found not guilty, which, as I said in my first video in this series, does not mean innocent. So, you would have thought police would have investigated his alibi a bit more thoroughly, especially since it was alleged he made a death threat if she didn't comply, but apparently not. In my next and possibly final video in this series, I will draw some conclusions from the information I have presented, and if there is any more updated information, I will discuss this at the time as well. With that, I'll just remind you to contact police if you have any information that may help them in regards to the disappearances of Robin Hickey, Amanda Robinson, or any other person, or information about a green Torana that may also have travelled between Newcastle and Queensland 40 years ago. Contact details are also in the description below. If you found these videos interesting and would like to see more of my videos, then please subscribe and click on the bell icon to be notified when I upload future videos. I'm David A. Elliott. Try to have a good one and see you around like a rissole.